Okay, welcome everybody to the Peacekeeping Task Force Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting. Today is Sunday, November 9th, 2025. My name is Louise Campbell Anthony. I am the affiliate director here with the Peacekeeping Task Force. So today is going to be a pivotal meeting. In the last meeting, I explained to you all how we're transitioning from model counties to Model Union States Initiative. I'm going to get more into detail about how that's going to happen and what's coming up next. So in the documents I put there in the chat, here's the purpose of the transition. I mentioned last meeting the role of the PKTF. I gave a document out for that. And one of the parts in that document that I'm going to highlight, just this one part here in this meeting, so that you can get an idea or clearer idea of why this transition is happening and what we're trying to accomplish by making this transition. So this is an email here that the fiduciary sent to us back June 15th. Just a section out of that email, she says, the more pressing issue for PKTF is its own role and future. The possibility of joining Interpol has to be handled carefully because even though it is the best and probably only option of its kind, it puts PKTF in a direct correspondence and enforcement role. And looming above and beyond all that is the transitional national civilian government occupation, quote unquote, that the PKTF is ultimately slated to perform. To end the illegal mercenary military occupation requires us to provide a competent civilian alternative. Excuse me. And what I'm thinking she means by that is just our American government has to be competent and prepared and ready to take the mantle when it comes time for this transition, which we are in right now. So this transition in this meeting here from the model counties to the model union state, the reason why this is going to happen is for two reasons. One is what I just read there, is our role as the Peacekeeping Task Force is to assist in this transition that's about to happen or that's happening, whereas our assemblies are competent and ready to take on the mantle of governing America. So how can the PKTF assist and facilitate in our government becoming competent to do that? That's one reason why we're transitioning. The second reason why we're transitioning, which was the catalyst reason, which is when I started the Model County Initiative, I was not aware of the depth of the conflict that was going on between the state assemblies and the county assemblies until I got involved, until we got into trying to help the county assemblies, the United States, get structured. Because that brought to light a lot of the conflict, Anna the fiduciary was suggesting that we focus on just 4 counties because we don't really know how the structure of the county assemblies are supposed to be exactly right now. So test out some so that we can actually get that field out, and then we can apply it to the other counties. So Joe and I thought, well, because there's so much friction, that might be a better idea just to focus on 4. But in reality, if we focus on 4 counties, that means 4 states. Because in my approach to the whole Resurgence Project is the at the same time part. I don't see how the government can be reconstructed without all the pieces there. I know, so I had to reorient myself from the model counties to the model union state. And what that means when we move to the model union state is we're just going to focus on 4 state assemblies, which are the states of the union, 4 states of the unions, with all of their counties, all of their union states, to help reconstruct the government from county to state, from county to town. which we already put on the table in our development all the way up to this point, to understand that we have a lot more work to do than we thought at the beginning, because now we comprehend that towns need, the American towns are missing too. So we have to reconstruct them. So that came upon our plate as we began all this, all the development of this whole American Government Resurgence Project. So in the Model County, but in the Model County Initiative, we're going to just let the counties develop on their own, which they didn't need the PKTF to help them do that. That is a responsibility that you have already. What I was trying to accomplish with Model County is to show and demonstrate the essential purpose of getting all the counties together, which should also happen on the state level too, where all the states should get together and start their cooperation on how they're going to stand up the United States of America on that level. My approach to this is that this is not going to happen just one state here or one state there, 5 years in between time. It's going to happen with us doing it all together, in sync, cooperating, collaborating, testing things, going out there in the field together so that they can see us together, because we're stronger together, right? So the whole approach to the American Government Resurgence Project has always been together. So the model union state, then, we're going to focus on 4 states, and they're going to show themselves to us. We have some states in mind that we think would be a good candidate to do this with, but I want to see what state is ready. What state wants to, say, we want to tackle the whole state and try to see how our structure of our government can be established, can be restored. So that's what the Model Union State Initiative is going to be about, is just those 4 states with their union states. But the Model County, I just changed it to the name Union States County Outreach, meaning that those counties can go do what they're doing anyway. They don't need a title to do it. And I'm glad that some of them are already doing it anyway, and finding out how to do it by going to the fiduciary or going into the documents that we have, the research that she's given us, to figure it out for themselves, because that's what the government has to do. That's what your union states have to do, and that's what the state assemblies have to do. So those are the 2 reasons why we're moving on from the Model County Initiative to the Union State Initiative, and what we're going to be doing. And if you've noticed, if you've been here with me for a while, you can notice of how I shift and move from level to level, depending on, whether we're ready or not. I first started off with the Strategy Task Force, where I invited all the state assemblies to come, and I asked for volunteers who are who can do strategizing, who know about the de facto, those types of people with those skills, to come together to try to develop this Resurgence Project. That's where I started, with the state assemblies. And then I moved to the counties, the county assemblies. So then I moved to the peacekeepers only, because they have a part in the Resurgence Project. And now we're going to move to the whole development of the entire state altogether, from county to town to county to state. Because we understand that the county is the catalyst part, where the county and the state has a relationship that needs to be developed to reconstruct our government, and the county and the town have a relationship that needs to be developed to reconstruct our government. All those pieces have to be developed together in order to properly reconstruct the government, so that it can be functional and sustainable. So that's what we're going to attempt to do in the Model Union State Initiative. Now, I did, in the last meeting, Oh, well, let me go over this here first. In the documents in the chat that I gave you, is this particular document here. Talks about the guide and the guides on the objectives and oversight measures of the Resurgence Project. That's what it's entitled. And its purpose is to go into detail about how we're going to oversee the project, the Union State Initiative Project. So in it, I only want to highlight two things. Now, all the 4 states who decide that they want to tackle this will need to read this and determine, oh yeah, I want to do this, or no, I don't want to do this. But the part that I want to highlight to everybody here, so that you all, your states and your counties, can be thinking about if you all want to tackle this. Section 2, where I'm redefining what the Model County Initiative actually is in the Resurgence Project. So it used to be Model County, which we're retiring that title and that program, and just letting the Union states or the counties assemblies go ahead and do what they're going to do as far as reconstructing the government, and doing mainly the outreach. But the thing is this, and I don't know if people really getting how I'm trying to develop this. The thing is this: outreach is the fundamental catalyst to us reconstructing the government. But when you do the outreach, you have to organize yourself while you're doing it to capitalize on all the effort that you're putting out there. So you have to talk about your government organizational structure and putting that in place while you're out there outreaching. So they go together. And I don't know if people actually capturing what I'm trying to do, because they would say, Model County, you just trying to organize the government and they ain't supposed to be standing up yet because the states ain't stood up yet. Well, if you do an outreach and you're bringing people in and you need to organize them while you're bringing them in, it has to be done at the same time. And I want people to utilize I want to give you all the different types of tools and strategies and ways of doing this, so that we can get it done and not drag our feet, or not get have a stumbling blocks, and not create stuff in a vacuum. And I tried to explain another aspect to this is, if we're trying to develop or reconstruct the government on the state level, we have to know what the county level is supposed to look like and what the town level is supposed to look like. It's like building a house. Like I explained, building a house and a contract worker. I have to know where I want to put this hole for the electrical socket while I'm putting up the frames of the house and the drywall of the house, because I need to know where am I going with this. So you don't have to backtrack and take the wall down or take something down and now put the hole in there. That type of thing. So I want us to get to the point where we're looking at this, where we're reconstructing the government on all the levels. I know some people think that, no, we can't handle that all at the same time. We have to do this because we don't even know that yet. Well, you might not know that yet, but what I'm saying is, practically speaking, if you don't know where that hole is going to go in that wall before you put those frames up and that drywall up, you're going to have to be taking something down and going back and fixing something. That's the point I'm trying to make. So let me go over these 2 parts. Only 2 sections in here is what I want to go over. So the Model Union State Initiative. So the purpose of this initiative is to develop a template for reconstructing the American government from the county to the state and from the county to the town jurisdictional levels of governance within that state, where you acknowledge the county as the pivotal catalyst in achieving the complete reconstruction. The objective is to demonstrate the functional interdependence. The functional interdependence required of each jurisdiction that is necessary to provide a competent and accountable governance owed to the people of the nation state. And I think that part we're missing too, because we're reconstructing in a vacuum, only looking at one part. There is an interdependence that goes on between all those jurisdictions as I'm seeing, the reconstructed United States County Assembly government body that results from this will be put forth as an example of a formidable Republican form of governance. And when I say formidable, it should be sustainable. As I'm looking at how our assemblies are structured right now, there's weak points. And as these 4 states go into the strategies for reconstructing, as I'm envisioning here, we will address those weak points and strengthen those weak points and put things in place there so that it can be a stronger structure. The working premise is that our Republican form of government is created by the people, lowercase p, who are located on the soil jurisdiction with whom the responsibility ultimately lies for anchoring in the permanence of our reconstructed American government. So our foundation is on our soil, but we came in from the land, which I understand. But we have to keep moving to get our footing up under us. The second part of this I'm going to read is this section here, the qualification for participation. To qualify, the state and county assemblies will purpose to coordinate. Now, I put this in here so that you all will know that the objective of this model union state is for the state assemblies and the county assemblies to work together. I found in the Model County Initiative that there was no working together between many of those model counties and state assemblies. Now, and my perspective of why that is different from the perspective of our fiduciary of why that is. Because I think the reason, well, I'm going to show you here in a minute, our differences and why our different perspectives on that. So purpose is to coordinate a strategic outreach execution plan for the restoration of all the county assembly governments of the Union State, utilizing the strategies in the Resurgence Project. The targeted end goal of this coordinated effort of the Model Union State Initiative is to populate the Union State. Populate, according to what the fiduciary said in her last communication in the last meeting, she said 2 people must populate the counties. And what I think that means is just we need to have at least 2 declared nationals on the county. That's populate. So our targeted end goal for this coordinated effort is going to have 2 declared nationals on each of the counties of the Union State. That's one goal. Second goal is to assemble the Union State's county assembly governments. However many counties you have, assemble them. Because once we get past population, we're going to move to organization of the assembly, because just to populating the county does not mean you have an assembly yet, because those 2 may not want to serve in the government. So we have to move from populating to actually assembling those 2, at least 2 people. I think it might be 3 people who wants to assemble as at the county assembly level. And then the third objective is to seat your international state of the union. So those are the targeted end goals of the project, of the initiative, I should say. So we have 4 states of the union assemblies with their union states will be accepted to develop a template. So these 4 states of the union with their union states is going to be testing out the strategies of the Resurgence Project. The Resurgence Project is not just outreach. If you all been here at the beginning from the strategy task force to now, there's 3 implementation guides that developed out of all of those discussions. All in the International Outreach Think Tank is where it started at the beginning, and then the strategy task force fine-tuned and added a few missing parts that we thought was strategic to add. So, and those 3 implementation guides covers the whole gamut of how to reconstruct the American government from assembly reconstruction to our peacekeepers going out there and communicating with the de facto to organizing the missing American towns, to building awareness online. Even it even had within those implementation guides is building your website, building your LRO, building an ASN store, building a news platform. All of that is in those 3 implementation guides. And that's what the Resurgence Project is all about, is reconstructing the whole American government and bringing forth the recognition of who we are. That's what our 4 test states is going to accomplish. Now, each state assembly, each of these 4, needs to be prepared to follow the reconstruction blueprint that's based in the Jural Assembly Handbook. Preferably, I'm looking for a candidate that's not nearing seatment. I found that was a source of conflict. When your state assemblies now are nearing seatment, they would have to divert attention to outreach. They thought that would prevent them from focusing on building their states first. So preferably, if your states are not focused on your counties and wants to focus on states first, then I prefer not to have those states volunteer to go ahead, for them to go ahead to do what they're doing if they think that's working. And then I prefer not to have those 10-fold shield assemblies, because there is a certain objective with the 10-fold shield project that Joe has for you guys. So I'm looking for 4 state assemblies who want to do outreach and who want to build the American government from state to county to town, the whole thing. And you have the capacity to do outreach. That's who I'm looking for ideally for this project, or for this initiative, I should say. So share this with your assemblies. See if you all interested in doing this. And those are the 2 sections I wanted to highlight here, but read the rest of it. Now, going back to why I think the model county conflict, the initiative brought forth the conflicts that was going on between the states and the counties. In the last meeting we had here, the Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting, we had here, I presented a section called Rebooting the Conversation. The conversation was states first versus at the same time. This is another thing that I think people are missing, that I'm trying to convey, is why are you focused? They're saying, why are you just focusing on the counties? We're not supposed to focus on the county. We're supposed to come in through the land and then to the state. As the thing is bound, so is unbound. I didn't say focus on the counties. I said at the same time, which I already heard the fiduciary say. So we have a at the same time and focus on the state first, and why you always focusing on the counties conversation going on. So I reviewed the how to build an assembly conversation that Lisa and Anna had, which was saying, don't focus on the counties at all, focus on the state first. So I had to go back to the fiduciary, and you'll see in your chat there, I put in the communication that I had here with the fiduciary. You can go ahead and read it all, but I'm not going to read it all. But I was asking for her support in county outreach, because this is what the whole project is about. If we're going to do this at the same time, this is the strategy that I'm going for to do it. If we're going to do it at the states first, that is not the strategy that I'm doing. So if we're going to reboot the conversation and you say at the same time and you say no, states first, that's a contradiction. So I needed to know if she could support what I'm trying to accomplish here. And that's what the communication was about. And in the communication, she says about the counties, let me see. This is where we kind of differ in how we perceive this is working. She says, organizing the counties has led to people trying to use the counties as a political means to undermine state leadership they don't like, so that discontents roll over into the county assembly and create problems for the state assembly, instead of staying involved in the state level and working their problems out. That's reason 3. Now, I disagree with that perspective, and I'm allowed to disagree. You know, we don't have to agree on everything, but this is my perspective. What I observed, which I have put in my model county report that I sent to her and that I gave you all in the last meeting, my perspective was this. I said here, organizing the counties has brought to light the unaddressed assembly dysfunction and assembly women and men misconduct that will continue if left unchecked with no oversight. People will continue to leave if we don't change this broken framework. So I want to address that in these 4 test assemblies, test states, I should say. There is dysfunction and conflict happening, and I don't see it as the counties undermining the states. I see it as a dysfunction in the whole framework of how we're developing the state assemblies. And I'm going to address that. That's part of the weak parts that I'm seeing in our structure that we're going to be addressing as we put together this template with these 4 states. Now, this have led me to go do a little research along this part here, and along with a question that I got in the last Resurgence coordination teams meeting. I think it was from Florida. I think it was from Annette. She had asked, I think that's who it was. She had asked, when will the county assemblies get their electors in place? I didn't have an answer for that because I didn't even know what electors were. So I had to go do a little research, and I had to ask Anna about county electors, which she said, yes, they have county electors. And I'm like, what? Okay. But when I saw county electors, I found it in the Jural Assembly Handbook, and county electors it said that 2 county electors were supposed to be sent to the state General Assembly. I didn't know that. And I'm asking, did anybody read this part in the Jural Assembly? Why are we not doing this? If we're supposed to be organizing our International State Assembly, General Assembly, where are the 2 county electors? See, and this is the interdependence part that I saw is missing. Did we choose not to do the 2 county electors? So I had to ask fiduciary, are we doing county electors? And she says, yes, we have county electors. So I'm going to be focusing on the Jural Assembly Handbook, going back to the beginning of where it was and how we were developing from the Jural Assembly Handbook. And what I noticed was, as I started reading it, because I started reading it so I could understand what's in this then, because other coordinators was telling me, when we first became coordinators, we were trained to read the Jural Assembly Handbook and go from that. And as I'm reading it now, I'm saying, well, this is not what we're doing. Did we change from this? Why did we change from this? And so what I realized, which I put in the chat, I realized there's 2 Federation Reconstruction blueprints. That's what I observed when I read the Jural Assembly Handbook, because what we're doing now in the How to Build an Assembly Handbook is different than what it says in the Jural Assembly Handbook. And I put down a comparison here for you. I'm not going to go through it all of what the comparison is that I put there, but just one thing. I'll go maybe 2 or 3 things I'll highlight. In the Jural Assembly Handbook, it says when you record a national, you record it in triplicate. Use the words triplicate. That means the national gets a recorded copy, the state assembly gets a recorded copy, and the county assembly gets the recorded copy. That's at the same time. But in How to Build an Assembly, how we're doing it now, the national gets a recorded copy and the state assembly gets the recorded copy. You don't hear nothing about the county, but in the Jural Assembly Handbook, that's what it says. So I don't know why now we don't do it that way, or we don't promote it that way, or we don't develop it that way. But we're going to go back to the Jural Assembly Handbook because it says a lot of the things in there talks about how the interdependence is necessary in reconstructing the government. Another example in there, it says all the jurors are the militia. It's like when you enroll as a juror, you also enrolling as a militia on your militia because that's your that's your duty. I don't see that in our reconstruction efforts. So these Jural assemblies, we have Jural assemblies, we should also have the same people in our militia assembly. That sounds like that's efficient. That's like you just field 2 assemblies at one time, at the same time. So things like this is what I'm seeing in the Jural Assembly Handbook that's not happening as we're doing the how to build an assembly approach. So that's how I consider them 2 different Federation reconstruction blueprints, because they both came from the Federation, but they're different. So I'm going to highlight and develop the test from the Jural Assembly Handbook with these 4 states. What I want to share and leave with you before we move on to the next thing. Well, let me go ahead and ask Andrew if you still have a question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because I haven't read that Jural Assembly or the handbook in a while. These electors from the county, are they just appointed, or do you have to have an election for your electors?
I couldn't tell in the handbook if they was. I think it didn't use the word appointed. It doesn't sound like it's appointed, but it did sound like it could have been elected from the county, or it could have been elected out of the county assembly and sent to the state assembly. All right. Not a public election, but from the assembly election. I'm not sure which one it is. I couldn't tell from the language. But that's something we get ironed out. Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Louise, it might be more of a selection rather than an election, where the selection is a hand raising thing rather than an actual ballot, which is what an election is. And I'm wondering I haven't looked at that in a while, but I'm wondering if they have to become an elector, they have to be part of the International Business Assembly.
So see, you're talking about the International State Assembly now, but the county electors are from the county. So which doesn't have an International Business Assembly. So the county electors from the county. So, okay, another difference.
May I?
Yes, yeah. Tammy.
Hey, guys. So just my perspective here is that in order to have representation, right, because that business assembly for the state is all of is representatives for our counties. That's how we have representation. And we have a voice internationally going through that business assembly. And so if I had to take a guess, and it is just a guess, but it's, just my perspective is that I would think that those electors are coming from each county assembly. I yield.
Mm-hmm. So from what I've gathered, Annette?
Yeah, so back in all the old documents, it said it was 1 woman and 1 man selected by the counties to represent them at the higher level.
Was it selected or elected in a public election?
Selected.
And who selected them?
All the county members. So they used to do it by ballot, and in the document it doesn't say if it's ballot or by just verbal.
Okay, so that's we're talking about another difference, and this is the framework that I was referring to, the framework of our government. So I think this type of framework is more sustainable in the drill assembly handbook than it is in the how to build an assembly, where anybody can just volunteer. That's how it happens in the how to build an assembly. But in the drill assembly handbook, it says these two electors. Now see how this difference in the structure is. In the drill assembly handbook, it says these two county electors goes to the state general assembly to represent their county. So you got every county is represented in that state general assembly. That's how it is populated. That's how your state general assembly is created. Then it goes on to say that the International Business Assembly is selected from the people in the General Assembly. Those people that's already now in the General Assembly are chosen to serve in the International Business Assembly. The General Assembly actually selects those people to go to the International Business Assembly and serve. That is the first, it says, the General Assembly Handbook says that's the first order of business for the General Assembly when it comes into session. Yes, Tammy.
I think we're dealing with different circumstances because right now we're in the assembling phase. And so I think a lot of these conundrums that we're finding ourselves in is because what you're reading in that Jural Assembly Handbook is how it is supposed to be when we're all assembled. But right now, because we are just assembling and we can only operate by having volunteers step up into these positions until we get more populated. That's how I see it. I yield.
That's where the outreach come in. Strategic outreach. That's why I saw or see where by county to county, that's how the Resurgence Project was developed, which I didn't know about the Drill Assembly Handbook when I did it. But if we're strategically sending out international public notice and having public meetings, county by county, I can see how we can get our people, the two county electors, to serve in the state General Assembly. That's just not how the strategy was going so far. But I could see how we could be doing it, and it could happen that way. And that structure is more Republican to me because all the counties are represented. So how do right now it's like you can have 25 people just from one county and 3 people from another county, and they're making decisions for everybody. That's not sustainable. That's not Republican. So as we're developing this structure, like I said, there's a vacuum where we're not seeing how we're supposed to be and developing it with that in mind. We're going to have to go back and do something different to correct it once we think we're already there. That's what I call a vacuum. So anyway, with the four states, we're going to strategically do this county by county, outreach, everything. And when you even talk about the towns, how is that is that the same thing? 2 town electors go to the county to be in the county General Assembly? I don't know. But if we often talk about, well, how it's done on the state, we do it on the county. So I imagine what we do on the county is done on the state. You know, that type of interdependence is what I'm seeing. That makes things fair. Makes your government operate, the framework is fair, is what I'm seeing. So anyway, those are some differences that I see in the two, what I'm calling 2 Federation Reconstruction blueprints, because they're not the same. And I think this is why we get what we call conundrums. This is why I think we get those, because they're meshed together and they're not the same thing. So we hear them both at the same time, but they sound like they contradict each other. When I separate them, now that I see what the Drill Assembly Handbook is and what it's saying, when I separate them, they both make sense to me. Oh, so this says this over here and this says over here. But when I'm hearing it back and forth, just sitting in my assemblies, they go like this, and I'm like, no, they don't fit. Those things don't go together. Because you can't build your assembly at the same time and do states first. That doesn't make sense. You're either building at the same time or you're doing one at first. So, but now when I separate them, I can see, oh, okay, so this is the one blueprint and this is another one. But I don't think anybody has viewed it as that until now. That's how I see it once I started reading it. So I'm going to give you all 2 organizational charts that I've been working on, but I'm not going to go into in detail. But I'm going to give them to you because we started on them when we did the Resurgence Coordination Team Handbook. And I'm going to be using these organizational charts in the Model Union State Initiative as we're starting to develop things. The 4 pillars chart, I kind of redid this according to what I'm seeing in the Jural Assembly Handbook. I created the 4 pillars chart here based on some of that information and some of the information we already have, how to construct a national county assembly. And I attempted a town assembly government idea, just an idea of how it could function, or different elements that could be in a town assembly. And I was trying to get portray the image of how things are supposed to be more simplified. That's why I did a 1 tower. It should be more simplified as we get down to the grassroots. We will get more into how the town assemblies are going to be exactly structured as the 4 states take on this test run. So I want you to have that. And then this organizational chart, we remember this one from Lisa's training on how to seat an assembly, which is her training is from this top diagram here is what she did. And I kind of edited and put in the General Assembly over here because of some of these assemblies that actually stay in session 24/7, which don't go out of session, which the General Assembly does go out of session. According to what I've been told, the Sessions Assembly, the Oversight, the Ombudsman, Public Safety, and the General Assembly Handbook says the Treasury. Those don't go out of session when the General Assembly goes out of session. So that's where I got that information from. So that is the structure there, and I thought it was helpful. Someone was telling me about the legislative, executive, and judicial functions. And I thought, oh, I can see how that is, in our government, in the defense function. As we're picturing this and organizing this, I'm thinking it's helpful for us to start seeing how our government is structured. And as we're building our assemblies, we can see where things go. So I'm giving you that to add to your your Resurgence Coordination Team's handbook. And then this one here can go also in there.
May I, Louise?
Yes, Tammy.
These documents that you're showing tonight, where did you share them?
So they're in the chat. If someone can put that in the chat for her, because when I go to screen share, I can't put anything in the chat. And I'll send them out when I send out the replay too.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Louise. I yield.
Okay. All right. So that's where we're going with the Model Union State Initiative. And as the other thing that's going to happen here, and I don't know if Darren made it here today or not, but we're going to get into another organizational chart that the foreign state assemblies are working on in Australia and Terras, Australis, if he's here. But the other thing that I'm going to do as I'm transitioning into the Model Union State Initiative is I'm going to start the Resurgence Pulse Report, which I've been mentioning ever since I stopped the Strategy Task Force interim report. It's going to be a video series. And what I'm going to do with that is to bring forward the conversation as the four test states are reconstructing and getting out there in the grassroots and starting to build things. The conversations that we need to have as a government is what I want to start having in the Resurgence Pulse Report, which means I'm thinking twice a week, I will produce a video and post it to the PKTF video YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel, make sure you click notifications so that when I post them, you can get the videos. I'm not consistent enough to tell you it's going to be on every Tuesday or every Wednesday. So I'm not a podcaster. I'm really not that consistent and disciplined, but I can say that I will do at least one, hopefully two, sometime during that week. And the topics that I'm going to be talking about is the topics that we need to be discussing as a government. And I am wanting you guys to comment, and I'm going to take the time to comment back so we can have this conversation in real time of how we're thinking our American government is structured and what we need to do to strategize and get it done sooner than later, like getting it done like yesterday. Because we know we are in this transition period, and we do have a window of time that we can do this in, that we need to do this in. We need some urgency about this. Yes, Sheriff Andrew.
Yeah, I've been kind of working on that, like right now. We talk about the state, the county, the towns, and we have to unincorporate all three. So what I've been doing is in Ohio, the de facto, the state of Ohio, there is a group with a head guy who is over the townships. So I'm going to be talking to him, then also going out. I've already been to every village in my county, all their city council meetings, notified them all and that stuff, but also going for a second round, talking to them about this, about this is what's going to be happening. We're going to unincorporate. And, the boundary lines are already there for these towns, because once we unincorporate the township, well, get rid of the township altogether, it's just gone. But they still have their, we can still use their boundary lines, because usually there's one major town in each township, and they would just take over the responsibilities of what that township was doing, which really isn't that much, just roads, cemeteries, and maybe a few other little things. But, so then I'm going to go, after the towns, go after the county. And yeah, so I'm putting it in motion already. And I don't know if it's exactly how you have it written out, but, maybe it's just another way, and we can kind of see what works. And that's it. I yield.
Thanks. Tammy?
Yes, my question is for Andrew. Andrew, how well are they receiving the information when you're going to the town council meetings? What has that been like for you?
Sorry, it's great, because the villages, they ask a lot of questions. They're really intrigued about, like, what the heck is going on, and they ask all kinds of questions. When you get to the bigger cities, they're a little more standoffish, and they usually don't respond to anything you say. I think it's maybe one of their protocols where they're not really even supposed to talk to you, just listen to what you have to say. So I just went in, I knew this from the beginning. So I went in there like a robot, because the only mission I had was to get those notices on their record. So I knew they wasn't going to talk. I knew they wasn't going to say anything, but I got the notices on record.
So you served them notices?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, every village, city, everybody in my county's been, notified.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks you. All right. So any questions on that before? Let's see if Darren is here. I asked Darren to share what their assemblies are doing and how they're organized. Because they starting at a different position than we're starting from. Is Darren here? I don't know if he made it.
I don't see him, Louise.
Okay. So
we could open up the International Outreach Think Tank to him on Wednesday night. He usually attends there, and he could talk about it then if you'd like.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll wait on him. He did share it with me, but I wanted him to be here to share it himself. So I'll wait on him to share it. So what I want to give you now is just to in closing here, all of the resources here that you're going to you can use. Now the model counties who are doing their outreach, who's planning their tours and everything, I would like to invite you to come to the International Outreach Think Tank meetings, because we're going to be talking, there is going to be focused really on outreach. And there is where you want to come and tell your stories of what's happening and share outreach strategies there. These meetings here, this is the last one for the Resurgence coordination teams. The next ones that I'll start would be with those 4 states. I will provide the replays for you, but it won't be an open meeting like I've been doing since the strategy task force. It's going to be just for those 4 states. But I'll share the replays on the Peacekeeping Task Force website. So be sure to go there and click on notifications so you can get notifications of when I post a video. I will be disciplined enough to do at least 1 per week. And hopefully I want to hear that conversation in that chat, in the comment sections there, so we can develop our thoughts and our strategies on how things are going on the grassroots and how a government should be thinking. And when I say that, I mean just this one basic thing. Like, the reason I came up with the international postcard was because I thought that it is the responsibility of the government to let all America know that they have an inheritance and that we're holding the inheritance for them. And when I say inheritance, yes, they have a birthright inheritance, but we also have their financial inheritance in the Global Family Bank. So as a government, I would expect that it would be appropriate and required for you to let every American know that you're holding their inheritance. That's why I came up with the international postcard. And governments, to look official and legitimate, it has to be in writing, and it usually is in the mail. That's why I said postcard in the mail. That's what I would expect of a government. Now, if the British Territorial was holding my inheritance or holding my money, we would expect them to do the same thing. So we should be out there doing that at minimum. And that brings me to the other thing that I put in the chat, at least I think I did, was the individual grassroots outreach campaign. If you just did it on your own, just the American State National on your own town, you went out, got some postcards, put them in some doors, or did something, put it on the trees or whatever you did on flyers. I put in the chat the individual campaign. At minimum, every man or woman that's in that government state assembly on the state level should be in their own towns telling the people that the government is holding their inheritance. Yes, Tammy?
I was just curious if anybody was able to figure out how to mail out postcards for free, because I still like that postcard campaign. It's expensive. The mailing is expensive. But if anybody has figured that out, I'd love to know about it. And I yield.
I have from Illinois Assembly. Was it Illinois Assembly? I have to send it to you, Tammy, but it is mailing, and it has a free something to the Universal Postal System or somewhere. But I didn't really, whoever I got it from didn't explain it to me. I just got it in my inbox some type of way. And it talks about mailing things for free. But I'll send that out with the replay. Yes, Annette?
Hi, I appreciate that question too, Tammy. I reached out to stamps.com, and you can use media mail it's about 1/10 of the price as if you were just the average person wanting to send those out. But you have to form an account. Unfortunately, it's $19.99 a month. And then you get this, it is quite a fraction of the price. It is very reduced, but it's still quite a bit for just an average person to, come out of pocket. I yield.
Thank you. I've used media mail before, and it is It's not expensive compared to what it would normally cost, but I thought it was just for books. But anyway, we'll find out. That's what Annette found out. Okay, so all you who doing your county tours, go over there to the International Outreach Think Tank. They meet. Here's the link here. Next one is Wednesday. Next meeting is Wednesday. We're going to camp out over there as far as outreach and all those model counties and all those other county assemblies who's trying to start their outreach. We're going to go over there for that. Over here is just going to be for those 4 test states. And it won't be opened up to everybody. Just the 4 test states. Then the other materials here is the ICE drive. All the outreach materials are there. The videos, the templates are there for the Resurgence Project. Now on Mondays, counties who need county support. Karen on North Carolina, yeah, she's opened up her platform to bring all the counties together who want to coordinate together, brainstorm together, use resources together. Those are her meetings there. And then you sheriffs, our highest official on the land and soil, go over there to learn from our county reads. Andrew and Adam got their podcast over there talking about, like he just told you what he was doing. We need y'all to go follow what Sheriff Andrew is doing.
Hey, Louise, real quick. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I want to tell everybody, Restore the Republic. It's on YouTube, and to go over there and subscribe is great. That's what we need. But I'm telling you, we're getting so much traffic from people responding and questions. And, there's some of you on here that I've sent people to because they're asking, they're trying to, I don't know how, a lot of people just don't know where to look still. And we're answering all their questions. So if you guys can subscribe and then share this as much as possible, I'm telling you, we're really picking up a lot of traction and it'd be appreciated. So I yield.
Yeah. So talk, Andrew over there, if you can talk more. I want to know more about the last man standing and Sheriff's Court. What is it called? Sheriff's Court. Okay. Because we got to figure out, we have, as the county assemblies are coming up, the county sheriff in the Resurgence Project, my focus on the county was to start with that sheriff first. And as I'm thinking about as I brought forth about what the Jural Assembly Handbook was talking about, compared to what the How to Build an Assembly is talking about, the Jural Assembly is talking about building your Jural Assembly on the state and the county at the same time. It's like you got to have to me, it looks like you have to have a county sheriff in order to investigate and charge these people of these crimes in order to get it to the state for them to continue it for these corporations and their officers. It's like, that's how I'm seeing this is interdependent. So go ahead, Annette. Can't hear you if you're talking.
Sorry, I hit the wrong mute button. Anyways, I hit it and then I hit it again. Sorry about that. So, we are already preparing on Marion County. We are already preparing for Sheriff's Court, and we're going through the whole basic fundamental as if it was a small claims court kind of procedures. And we met, a large group of us met, and we have it down pat now. We're just, we had asked Lisa for documentation with regards to, the paperwork that has to be officially sent out for serving whoever is going to appear in that case. And we're very excited about that. We've figured out a place that we're going to have it and how we're going to do it, and everybody knows what they're going to be doing. So that part we've got. I had a question about the email that was going around asking for anyone's families that were in the state prior to, I believe it was 1812. And if that for hereditary purposes, do you know what that's all about? Because I did respond and say that my family's been here and I can document it to 1539.
Yeah, I did read that. So I was reading that before I got on. That's what this, let me go to it in the Drill Assembly Handbook. So here in the Drill Assembly Handbook, we in the last meeting, Resurgence Coordination Teams meeting, we talked about the eligible inheritors. I was asking a question: is the eligible inheritors the same as the 2 county electors? So who I think it was Barbara who responded in the emails, was talking about what a eligible inheritor was, and what she was saying, it's a man or woman who can prove that they were their ancestors were born on that state prior to, I think it's 1860 in here. So here it is in the Drill Assembly Handbook right here on page 47. It says those of us who have ancestry going back before 1860 can claim back all rights, properties, assets, and interests of the national trust we are heir to. And this is, in terms of law, what we are doing when we return home, the land and soil jurisdiction of our states. Nobody can say that our states are abandoned so long as at least one eligible inheritor shows up, and thanks to the work we have already done, the Federation Trust has been renewed. Each one of the state national trusts has been renewed and claimed by one or more eligible inheritors. So it's already been done. That's how they were able to bring the states back into session. It said that back when the states were calling to, somebody was saying that in order for a coordinator to be a coordinator, they had to been born on that state. Somebody had said that, but I think they really meant it in relationship to this. When the states were called into session, according to this, it had to have at least one eligible inheritor from the whole state. Just anyone in the state, it looks like. That's what it says. So that they can claim so that we could claim that state is not abandoned. They had to show that their ancestors were there prior to 1860. And that's what the person in the email was saying, that they had their proof. It was some type of family treaty or something, that they had their proof and had recorded it in the LRO that their family was there before then. So yeah, but it says we passed somewhere down here. She said we already passed that place. If you read some more, we already accomplished that part. Any other questions?
So we already had that then.
Okay. Well, if nobody has any other questions, I will send out the replay when it's ready, and I'll send out all the documents that we talked about here today. And go over to the Peacekeeping Task Force YouTube channel, hit that notification button so that we can, when I start these videos, I think it's going to be, this week. Yeah, I'm going to start this week. So go over there before I put up that first video. You all have a good night, and I will see you all at the International Outreach Think Tank on Wednesday.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Louise.
Louise.
You are welcome. Bye now.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Thank you, Louise.
You're
Bye-bye,
welcome.
everybody.